then the Shen Wan Trashan Bayanda. Zobe Sanje Rinquadan Shawson. The Varishavan Jin Kemba Jivon de Kanoju. Lana Meba Lada Menanje de Makanjation. Pejawa Shaja to Wama Sasama Shutter. The Mahajum then the Shen Wan Trashan. Zobe Sanje Rinquadan Shawson. The Jin Kemba Jivon de Kanoju. Lana. Menanje de Masanje Jum then the Pejawa Shaja. Sazelon Judo Yasu Share, Damba Jumden. Nishaman Dashamba Yanda Van Zobe Sanjari Badan Shazundem. The Varishaman Jiden Jamba Jivon de Kano, Mama. Alabella Demba Sanje Jumden, the Bejam, Shaya. Sazelon Judo Yasu Share, Kanzekanyan Zowa Jadam, Sajan de Yobon. Manan Jiden Dema Sojas on the Jaban Jamba. Namda Gonga Choto, Susawa, Yisha, Taban Jitan Sunda, Lamermo, Robo Shonye, Central de Machimenda, Veshe, Sandon, the Rocham, General Zebazuma, Jay, Yame, JJ, Gombo, Jem Bottom, J. Jembe, Solomon Danger, Sujan, the Shen Taban de Shatter, what you give as one day. 这对的那么小就往新就叫那啥，全来全外老娘的老把他拿着，先给他把也的，跟着老娘啥在弄的话，这样没下去，两个现在要做的，天天上街带嘛，干嘛的人，就嘛是把这边当面老的真的，你是像那么的那个大说那么的，他们这些吧。 我他们那经济，把他妈的西边老这西边上来就往这往这说，那是你完了不来的，我这说，The blessed one, the glorious one, the subject from the sky, prostrate and offering the teacher, the blessed one, the one God beyond, the perfect destroyer, the complete perfect awakening to you, completely awakened one. The blessed, glorious conquering, the subduer from the Shakya clan. I prostrate and make offerings to the teacher, the blessed one, the closest perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, supreme guide, teacher of gods and kings, to you, completely awakened, the blessed one. I prostrate the open and you paced out the space. I am supreme. To you, I prostrate with pure forms with emotion like a gold. Fame that blazes in the winner of the best. With signs, faces, flawless, color like gold to you. You are accurate. Incomparable wise to you. I prostrate. Savior, teacher, all understanding. You the merited qualities of the past. To you, the one God lives in his purity, which is what pleases that virtue which frees the one path, the one reality, that pacifies by those who liberated and who also show the path to liberation, according to qualified realization. To you, the sublime this is the mind and a star, a mirage, a lamp, an illusion, dream flash,
those are lighting the cloud,
reduce merit,
if may sensing being a ten or the range of
to be delivered from the ocean of suffering, sickness. I go for refuge into the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create my practice of giving and the perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge in telling the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practice of giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. I go for refuge in telling to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the merit I create by practice of giving and the other perfections, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings.
So we on the page 266, okay? 65 or 66. Okay. Chandrakirti is condition of numbers which deceives childish beings. Yeah, this which deceive the childish beings appearing in a false manner. So nirvana does not deceive beings by appearing thus. Hence, he explained that nirvana is said to be true while the others remains untrue. The distinctions between the truth and untruths here must be therefore the drawn in the sense of being non-deceptive and deceptive. So I think the defines something is the ultimate truth is non-deceptive, something that is
not deceiving. So in the sense, is it deceives means, when things that, when things that appears to you, then your mind tend to grasping on the intrinsic nature is I think this, which means it deceives the mind. Now they're saying when you see the color deceives the eye consciousness. So the color deceives the eye consciousness. Smell deceives the nose consciousness. Taste deceives the tongue consciousness. In this way, this form, sound, smell, taste, textures. So these are the sensual objects, and non-sensual object like this. So yeah, constantly law and cause and effect, independent arising, the relations, the cause and effect, and the continuities. So these are non-sensual, the object. That too, when it appears to the mind, there is always being kind of deceiving the mind. Now, that does not mean that deceiving the mind, when the color deceives the eye consciousness, does not mean eye consciousness lose the cognitive of the color, right? Eye consciousness is cognize the color. At the same time, it is also being deceived by the color. It understands, it also deceives. So, and which part of the color that the eye consciousness being able to perceive and understand is the color itself. And then how, if the color eye consciousness realize the colors, perceive the colors, at the same time, how the color, in what way it deceives the eye consciousness. So that the color seems to the eye consciousness exists by itself. Color, something that is out there, independent from the eye consciousness. So that is the way the color, it deceives the mind. So this has become the the South Tantric middle schools and the Prasangika school debating on that. If this deceives, if the color deceives the eye consciousness, then you cannot say the eye consciousness perceives or realizes the color. So the South Tantric middle will say it. A Prasangika school says, yes, it can be simultaneously. You can realize at the same time it deceives. So it is not being deceived as a color. It deceives as a color being independent, color being objectively existing, color being out there by itself. So that is this. So this is the So this is what he's saying here. Childish being, which deceives the childish being through the appearing in a false manner. So most of the time in everyday life, when someone deceives you, so you understand, how he deceived after, you've been deceived. But at the same time, you have all idea, the memory of how he deceives you, and you also have the memory of the person and what he says. So which means you still have cognitions. You cognize, right, the things that he said, the things that he did, And then later on, you say, oh, he meant that, So in this way, you can find, things has, the object has been deceiving you at the same time, and you have been able to understand the nature of the object itself. So during the sense of beings, the non-deceptive and the deceptives. So Chandrakirti's commentary on the 60 stanzas elsewhere makes the statement to the effect that nirvana is true on the conventional level. So the commentary 60 stanzas elsewhere makes the statement that the effect, so that nirvana is true on the conventional level. So there the meaning is that nirvana's status as ultimate truth is to be posited, right, from the perspective of the conventional truth. So emptiness become emptiness, emptiness as the ultimate truth is a conventionally recognized. So the realization of emptiness itself has no notion of emptiness is ultimate truth or not. It just, it just tastes the emptiness. It just experiences the emptiness. It not giving any label. It is ultimate or conventional. So when you start giving the label, and then that is the conventional understanding. So it's saying that nirvana, although is ultimate truth, non-deceptive, the nirvana status as ultimate truth is to be presented from the perspective of the conventional truth. So the conventional consciousness recognize, oh, this is ultimate truth. This is the conventional truth, right? So convention. It is not the Chandrakirti accepts nirvana to be conventional truth. So the nirvana as the ultimate truth is conventional, does not mean nirvana is conventional truth. Emptiness is ultimate truth, is the conventional, does not mean emptiness is the ultimate. Emptiness is the conventional truth. So which is ultimate truth, then just, yes, since the conventional truth is the means by which one enters the ultimate truth. So because the conventional is the conventional, conventional truth is, or the way you conventionally existence is the which one enters the ultimate truth. Then just as they entertain conventions in everyday world without probing into whether things arise from itself or another, the Madhyamika accept the conventional truth in the same unanalyzed manner. So, that ordinarily when it says, oh, I'm going to east, I came from the west, or I'm going facing towards the south. So ordinarily we perceive, we face the south, say, I'm going to the south. So that is unanalyzed perceiving the object. This is the I think this is a mundane way to perceive something as east and west. Now, if you are not satisfied simply by, with unanalyzed perceiving something as east, and you want to know which one is east, then you're objectively and analyzing, examining. You are examining in conventional. Something that ordinarily, temporarily exists, you want to know ultimate level. Because that the conventional existing is never really exists in the ultimate level. So for example, you say, oh, this is my body, my feeling, my thought, my idea, my activities. So we say that's the conventional. So if you go a little bit beyond that, say, oh, that me, that I'm talking about my body, my feeling, that me must have exist somewhere in the hand, within the hand or head or the body. So you are searching this I in ultimate level, which is never really found. Right? So it's just without examining the I where it exists, right? Which part of that is me, without examining, just simply say, my hand is moving. This is my hand, I'm waving, right? So this is my eye, I'm looking at things. Just conventional, unanalyzed, with it. So when we say I'm going to the east, we are not we don't really mean that the place I am going has to be east, right? So I'm going east to meet my brothers, my mothers, right? So I'm going to east to meet my parents. Means you're not mean your parent they are the east, or their house is the east. So it's without without analyze, without examine. Ordinarily, we can proceed facing towards the east, going towards the east, right? So this is how in every day we say my hand and my leg, or I am sick, I'm in cure. So it's ordinarily exist. We are perceiving myself being ill, myself being cured is ordinarily without examining. If you examine, and that me that is ill and cured and must have somewhere in the body, that is you're trying to you're trying to seek the self of the person in the ultimate level, right? Which is impossible. Sometimes when you give the direction to the people, and you have to say turn right or left, if you not specific, so people will turn on their hand, right? Their left. So you have to say the kind of the how's that? The path. So you are in 10 freeway, 10 freeway, their right, their left. You have to say specific. So you cannot just simply say right and light and left. So these are the conventional. So entertain conventional is the everyday world without probing into whether things arises from self or another. The Madhyamika accepts the conventional truth in the same unanalyzed manner. To proceed with the root text, Chandrakirti root text says, thus, when such phenomena are analyzed, such phenomena, like east and west, short and tall, and this side and that side, or my body, or my body, or my feelings, these phenomena, these realities, when such phenomena are analyzed, nothing is found. nothing is found as their nature, apart from the suchness. Apart from suchness, So when you say me and my body, right? Me and my body is that the separation of the me and my body. Now, apart from suchness, you cannot show yourself and your body like a table and a chair, apple and orange. You cannot really present this is me and this is my body. Like you can say this is the apple, this is the orange. In this way, you cannot really present yourself and your body. The separations is only exists through the conceptual. Therefore, you cannot analyze, you cannot examine that. Right? It just this is how we conventionally perceive things. We say, "Oh, the color of the leaves is changing." So the color of the leaves is changing. This means color in the leaf are the separate. Right? The separation of the color in the leaf is the conventional. It is it is ordinarily this is everybody we how say we conceive. Everybody conceived when they say the color of the leaf is changing. Everybody conceive the leaf and its color are separate. But their separation of the leaf and the color is not like apple and orange. So when you analyze, then analyze which part of that leaf that is apart from the color. So which you are seeing, the color is changing. The color that belongs to the leaf. What is that leaf that possesses the color? And now it is the changing. It's having yellow color and leaving the green one, losing the green one. So it is a substantial level. Do you really see the leaf and the colors as a separate? Like apple and orange, there is no. And then this is how this is the way this ordinary beings, mundanely, we conceive things. That is the only, this is the only evidence to prove this is something reality. This is everybody, we say that. So so thus, when such phenomena are analyzed or examined, nothing is found as their nature apart from the suchness. So the reality, there is nothing. There is no me that different from the body. There is the body that is being different from the me. And there's suchness. That is the suchness. Apart from there, there's nothing. So there's nothing, there's nothing. But conventionally, relatively, the way you see, way you say, way you write, way you imagine, yes, in this way, you can see the separation of me and my body, color in the leaf. In the writing way, in the verbal way, in the imagination way you conceive. In this way, yes, the leaf and the color is separate. Me and my body is separate. So the only in the writing, in the letter, through the language, through the concept, So with your hand, there is no me and my body as two things. It cannot be touched. It cannot be smelled separately. It cannot be seen with your eye consciousness separately. So you can imagine, you can write, you can express separate. So that's called conventional. Something that you made, you create the way of presenting something existing. In this way, you can find, because you make it. So so I always find this is very, when you go to India, and money exchange, first you go, and the $1, 82, 83 rupees. So who's deciding this? They don't get right. So then, in the world that make the rules, and financial or the bank, right, system. So in this way, you can value more the dollar than the rupee. If this system is not there, and just do it both are paper, right? So the value given by the people's concepts, the system they created. So in this way, what makes me and my body is separate. What makes the leaves and the color of the leaves are separate. What makes your head and the size of the head is separate. What makes sky and the empty of the sky is separate. You say, in the empty of the space, the airplane can fly. In the empty of the space, I can move around. So I need the space. So you can say. So in this language is expressing, indicating, and the space has the empty. Space is the one that possesses the empty. Empty belongs to the part of the space. Right? So if you already make the separation of this space and the empty, you also have make the separation of color in the leaf. You make the separation of me and my body, me and my thought, me and my feeling. These realities is created through the letters, the languages, and thought. Other than that, there is no any condition to find me and my body is two separate things. The color in colors, the leaf in the colors, the color of the leaf is separate. Space and empty of the space is separate. There's no any other way finding they are separate. So now the conventionals means these letters, the languages, and the concept, have they have this, letters, the language, the concept is kind of creating the separation of the me and my body. Do they have any evidence? Do they find any substantial evidence to make me and my body separate? So you can say, this mountain is taller than other mountains. So you have this concept has the base fundamental, the basic evidence there. You can see with your eye. This mountain is smaller and that's bigger. You can say this house is, smaller than that. So in this way, the color of the leaves is changing. That expressions, that verbal expressions, and then the concept that conceiving in this way have any base, kind of substantial evidence? No substantial evidence. So it's not based on any evidence. It is the way, So that's called conventional, right? So sometimes, when we find what do you mean by conventional? So it's like, it's a conventional whole that all people agree this belongs to everybody. So everybody can perform any activities in that place. So in this way, every sentient being, the transmigrators, and it has the way of conceiving things, way of expressing things, right? In this way, this reality exists. Although I have no size that is different from my head, but I see in my thought. So therefore, I want, sometimes I feel good, my size of the head is bigger, or sometimes I feel not good, my size of the head is shrinking, right? Or the body size shrinks, and some people are happy, some people are not happy. So this is the kind of, the conventionalisms ordinarily, the commonly, without any, how say, any substantial evidence. So in this way, and create something, possess something. So from that perspective, yes, there is the separate of the sky and the empty, color in the leaf, person in his body, tall man and tall body, disappointed man and disappointment are separate. So there's a conventionals. It's like, so those conventional reality that you have created, when you imagine, when you engage on those objects, and they deceives you. So as if they are, from the beginning, they are separate from their own side. This, the color, the leaves is, without any projections by their own virtues. There is the separation of the color in the leaf, and tall man and tall body, short man and short body, and excited man and his excitement. So there is no such excite man and his excitement, excite being, right? Excite being, as from the object, by virtue of their own side, is too separate. It's not possible. Are you getting it? Yeah.
Taking notes here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I mean is, in the Tibetan kunzups, the kunzup tools, sometimes I sometimes feel that the English is more, gives you more space to, more to make it more explainable. So conventionals, ordinarily, mundanely, and then it's like commonly, and at the same time, without evidence, without any substantial evidence. So you just make something up, you made up, and you commonly accept it. And sometimes, yeah, if you have a very old mug, right, mug or table, or any tablecloth, they're very, very old. And then if no one really gives you any value for that, no one want to buy, no one want to spend money. But when you see, oh, this is from my grandmother, this is my grandfather's, and then you gave more value, right? So that kind of to see the valuable or not valuables is who is giving the value on that object. Is there any evidence from the object side? There is no object side. There is no evidence to be valuable, not valuable. Right? It's a subjective, everything. Anything that subjectively exists is never really exists by their own virtue. So that's why the root text is, thus when such phenomena are analyzed, nothing is found as their nature apart from the suchness. So the conventional truth of the everyday world should not be subject to through analyze. If you want to know there is east and west, if you want to know there's east and west, then you should not be analyzing is exists in the tree or the soil or the house. If you go analyze, you cannot find the east. So if you find the east, say this is east because that is the west. This way sun sets, that is the east. That is the only reason, there is east, or there is east, or that is east.
So suchness is about how it exists as it is, depending upon the things that
the suchness of that, the suchness of the existing east in this direction, west in that directions. The suchness is there's nothing, right? There's nothing from the directions to be divided into east and west, because you are in the middle, and you have designated that part of your body, the part of it is the west, therefore this side is become the east. Right. From the suchness, there is no east and west. Right. Yeah. So sometimes, people says every nation says their country is the center of the world. Right. So that's true. Yeah. And each person can say, the where I'm standing is the center of the universe. That is also true, relatively, right? No one can really disprove that. Or although you want to physically fight, and who wins that?
Lots of worlds.
So from the suchness, there is nothing. Suchness here is the absence of intrinsic nature. So that's the conventionally or the relatively, it's very, very similar. The conventionals, one is without any evidence, without any substantial evidence, which also means without things that is existing by virtue of any basis. Ordinarily or mundanely perceive something. So how you, without any anything that is any phenomena that is not existing by virtue of any substantial basis, but as a conventionally, ordinarily exist, because you have made something up, right, through the letters, the languages, and the thought, without any evidence, without the things that really exist from this side or that side. So without ease found existing from the soil or the land or the house, right? Without finding that, you can simply say that's the is, right? So because I have designated my other side of the direction is the west.
It sounds like there's a lot of ways to go about dissecting and analyzing, a lot of tools to dissect and analyze something to make it, to prove that it does not intrinsically exist separate. But it almost sounds like it can be summarized down to where is that thing that you are saying exists?
I think that the purpose of this analyzing is because our emotionals, when it's manifest, it gives us, too much excitement, too much, sad and intense. Because each emotional sees their object is something concrete and solid. So to prove that object that is apprehended by the emotional or the engaged or perceived or the emotional is not really substantially exist. It's just relatively, you just create it. You create it. Now emotionals, you're each emotionals, and grasping and clinging on that, seeing that objects is something solid and concrete. That brings the tense in your body, right? And then pain, unease, all these problems. So, in order for as you say, may sentient being free from the suffering and the cause of suffering. So the suffering, the pain, and the cause of the suffering. So the emotional that is, clinging on those objects that are created, fabricated, constructed by the thought. So I think that is the kind of, otherwise it's not just kind of, intellectual, not just intellectual kind of, knowledge. Because we are seeking for the peace without any cause of suffering. The cause of suffering to pacify it. Suffering and the cause of suffering to pacify it. So we have to convince the mind, and every object that appears to your mind is relatively constructed, created, appears. So each phenomena has no intrinsic natures. They do not have any essence from inside. Essence is always given. Meaning is always given. Like that's why people always using the same word and with different expressions, and it brings the different meaning. I heard some people use, it's very sick. So now he's beyond so too talented, too expert, and sometimes that's very sick, and then it's very, very, negative things, and just normally say, is he sick or not? And that means he's ill or not, right? So the same word, it meant different. Because this is how you want to give the meaning to the word sick. If someone, yeah, someone still, offended by saying, hey, millionaires. So if you say, hey, billionaire or the billionaires, some people get, very offended because they are too hard working, not being able to succeed making money, and someone calling them, hey, billionaires. Right? So So that's what I'm saying. The conventionalists are constantly created, unstable, and constantly changing itself, their meanings, which means they are not really exist, from its there's no really exist from any basis. They do not exist from their own side, right? So that's why it's always unstable. So these are called conventionally on a relatively existing and a deceptive, falsely existence, right? Unreal. So yeah, should not be subject to true analyze. So if you want to know the east, don't analyze where is that east, right? Yeah. So this side and that side also changes. You know, when you are here and you call this side. When you move to other side and that other side becomes this side, then that changes relatively. And also our people and your people, they're always saying there is no absolute. Today is our people, tomorrow is their people, right? Thus, when such phenomena as a form, feeling, and so on are analyzed thoroughly in in terms uh, in terms such as does it arises from itself or does it arises from others? Beyond the fact they do not arises or cease on the ultimate level. There is an ultimate level, like if you analyze where is the east. So in this way, where is that arising? So what is that arising? So is arising of the sprout within the seed, or it is arising of the sprout is something different from the seed and something in the hidden in the futures kind of form of futures. So which means if in the future there's some kind of sprout which is going to be arising, and then futures has the sprout, therefore if that is the sprout and it is being produced, and you cannot say is unborn or yet to come. So in this way, if you analyze even that arising, you cannot find. So exactly the arising of the sprout is existing in the future exists like east and west. This is very, very similar, when you look at your mirror and you see the reflection of the image of the face, and you just do things, right? Because you say, oh, there's something. So my face is, uh, my face is dried, my face is too moisture, right? So just looking at the reflections. So does that mean you have found your face in the mirror? No. Just depending upon the mirror. So the reflections is so yeah, that's the kind of the conventional. Means conventional, relatively. Does it arises from itself or does it arises from others? Beyond the fact they do not arise or cease on the ultimate level. So that is apart from the suchness as their nature, nothing else is found. No other or extra dimension, right? Such as arising and so on. So the conventional truth of the everyday world should not be subject to true analyze in terms such as form and itself of from itself or from others. So if you conventionally you can say there is the when you for the farmer when they buy the seed or tomato seed or corn seed. So this is, oh, the good harvest of the corn, maybe this, you can have good harvest from this particular seed or that particular seed. So the coming of the good harvest, the coming of the sprout. So if you analyze where is that coming, and you cannot, that coming of the sprout or harvest is dismantled, disappears. So if you want to know, if you want to talk about the conventional reality of arising, so not analyze. You have to be satisfied with ordinarily existing. If you're not satisfied with ordinarily existing, you want to examine, you cannot find. So the conventional truth, is always found in the superficial level, Through the analysis terms from itself and others, and so on, we should just accept the facts of the worldly perceptions captured in statement such as, if this exists, that follows. When there is the ignorance, there is the karma. When there is the east, there is love. When there is the anger, there is the attachment. If you're angry, which means because you must have already attached to something. Right? This happened, that happened. So in this way, things exist. So this, if this exists, that follows. When there's the ignorance, there's the karma. When there's the karma, there is the consciousness. When there's the consciousness which carries the karmic imprints, and there is name and form in next life. When there's a name and form, there will be faculties. When there's a faculty, there's the contact. So when there's the contact, there's the feeling. When there's the feeling, there's a craving and grasping. In this way, yeah. This is also exact like east and west, north and south, short and tall. So we should do this on the basis of the participating in the conventions that are dependent on others. So we should do this. We should do, when you, want to recognize or identify the conventional reality, you should do this. But depending on this, that exists. Right? This done, that happened. So you cannot go with one single entity and trying to pinpoint where is it. You cannot find within any basis. Because this, whatever you say, good or bad, so if you single-pointedly, single-pointed, if you're trying to single out that object, and you cannot hold on that, right? Because that thing that exists to you is depending on something else, the favorable and unfavorable, attractive and unattractive. So this should do this based on the participating in the conventions that dependent on others, those of the world. For example, Ayadeva says, likewise, worldly people cannot be sustained except through the conventional world. So the conventional world, so that means samsara cannot be sustained without the conventional. If you break the conventional, if you find a way to, if you find a way to pacify or the disappearing or dismantling conventional reality, then you are also breaking the samsara, right? You are just directly opposing with the samsara. Samsara, right? Cycle existence, you are cycling because you are cycling in your own projection. If you break your projections, not concretely exist, not solid and not absolute, there's no any substantial basis. So then you're stopping the cycling. You are just breaking that cycle, cyclic existence. So cyclic existence cannot be sustained without conventional reality to be, perceived as a truly existence. So which means that Arhat is, there is, for the Arhat who has attained the Nirvana, they don't have any proof that, these are the things that I have destroyed. If you destroy the house, you say, you can call people, say, that house I destroyed, or this trees I cut it down. So that when you ask the Arhat, what you have destroyed, can you show it to me? So they have nothing, because they just simply destroyed mental projections of the solid and concrete existence, which means they convince their mind that all this conventional reality do not exist by their own worship. So yeah, Ayadeva says, likewise, the worldly people cannot be sustained except through the conventional world. So if you totally, pacify all the mental construct, pacifies mental construct, and you have no more samsara. You are no longer a samsaric being or the cyclic being. You can also not cyclic being, you're bicycle beings. So without relying on the fundamental wisdom 2 says that without relying on the conventions, ultimate truth cannot be realized. So again, the way to reveal the ultimate truth is also through the conventional. So conventional. The ultimate truth cannot be realized. Without realizing ultimate truth, nirvana cannot be attained. So then, what is the way that relying on the conventions, then that kind of leads you to understand the ultimate reality? It's impermanence, renunciations, law and cause and effect, and the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sanghas. So these are the conventionals. Through that way, you can gradually, I think deepening your mind into the reality, and then you will there's the way to reveal the emptiness. So, and the averting the objection says, this is the Nagarjuna's one of the, we call dispelling the argument, right? Dispelling. And here they used averting the objections. Without accepting conventionals, we will not engage in, expositions. So explain.
Mm-hmm. Right. Say forth the meaning.
Yeah. So that's why Buddha says, Buddha says, I can only explain the teach about the time, arising, disintegrations, and what is existing and what is not existing. So I can only explain, according with what conventionally accepted to be existence. So the worldly conventions, by relying on the worldly conventions, Buddha can teach, which means each teaching of the Buddha, the word he used, expressed about impermanence, the renunciations, and the time, the past, the present, the futures, and something exists, not exists, is simply relying on what conventional accept. So not because of what he has revealed. From his the ultimate point of view, there's nothing to talk about impermanence, the conventional renunciations. There's nothing. Right? So it's all relatively, this become the like impermanence, the law and cause and effect, then the karmas, right? Karma and consequences, then the samsara and nirvana and Buddha, Dharma, Sanghas. These kind of, you see, there's some kind of steps, right? The stairs, one by, there's some kind of order that you have found. So for the ordinary mind, Buddha don't see that kind of order from the perspective from the point of view of the omniscient. There is no order. But the four sentient beings, they seize this kind of order. First, impermanence, conditional suffering, the cessations, the path, the need to liberations, right? So they see the orders because impermanence is not that difficult compared to the understanding of the conditional suffering. Conditional suffering is not that difficult compared to the emptiness. So they see there's a kind of, the orders. Right? Without accepting conventions, we will not engage in expositions. Here, the analyze and non-analyze refer to analyze or non-analysis pertaining to the suchness. In this regard, it is critical to understand what mode of analysis constitute the analyze into the suchness. I will explain this point a little. In the Prasangika systems, if one is unsatisfied with the conventional designations, like you say, just by you have recognized this is the West, Los Angeles West, and then San Bernardino is the East, right? So just simply because this is the Los Angeles, this is the West, this is the San Bernardino, the 10 East. So if you're not satisfied just because this is Los Angeles, this is San Bernardino, this must be the East, right? If you want more reason beyond that reason, so then you cannot find the East. You have to be satisfied, such as that's the Los Angeles, this is the West, therefore this must be the East. So you have to be satisfied what conventionally constructed for you. So if you're not satisfied, you want to objectively analyze, and you cannot, you cannot find even the East. So conventionals. So the unsatisfied conventional designations, and in the relation to the statement such as the sprout arises, one analyzes what exactly is the referent of that phrase. So which means, If somebody says, oh, today is Sunday, and tomorrow will be the Monday. So Monday is coming. You have to say yes, right? And then says, where's the coming of the Monday, right? Is the coming of the Monday is happening tomorrow, or the coming of Monday is happening right now? If the coming of the Monday is happening right now, and then within the Sunday, during the Sunday, Monday has to be there to be coming, right? So you just say, because today is Sunday, tomorrow will be Monday, therefore Monday is coming. Just stop there. Don't go beyond that. So if you go beyond that, you are breaking, you are dismantling the conventional reality. So there's the Prasangika, the relation statement, such phrase, sprout arises. One analyzes what exactly the referent of that phrase does the sprout arises from itself or another's? That is objectively analyzing. Yeah. So in this way, you fail to find or recognize the sprout, the arising of the sprout itself. You cannot find the future. What is the future? So from that point on, the analyzed become an inquiry into the suchness. So this is now particularly in the Prasangika systems. So maybe autonomous school, and minority schools, and then they allows that, Oh, if there is the arising of the sprout, so it arising from where? It's from the seed, or arising, the sprout itself arising, or arising from something else. They don't see this is the objective analyze. This is the, when someone is coming, says, he's coming, says, then you say, where is coming from? Who is that coming? So we analyze, right? That is the mundane way we say it. So, right. Has he come yet? Has he arrived yet? Now, when you say this sprout is arising, the future is coming, is it coming by itself or is it coming from others? They think this is the same if the person has arrived, airplane landed yet or not. The Prasangika school said this is not the way the conventional. So the arising by itself or others is your objectively analyzing. Yeah, from another, so on from the point on the analyze become the inquiry into suchness. This is entirely different from the everyday inquiries based on worldly conventions such as where have you come from? Where are you going? Where is it? Outside or inside? These are the worldly, the examine or analyze. We conventionally analyze. Is it good or bad? Is it spoiled or not? It is big enough or not? It is the sharp or not? Right. So when you analyze on the arising, is it arising by itself or others? Then Prasangika school says, this is not normal analyzing. Now you are objectively analyzing. Yeah, Svatantrika Madhyamikas, on the other hand, does not consider above degree of analyze to constitute the probing into the suchness. For them, analyze become the inquiry into the suchness. When the someone analyzes whether something exists by virtue of power of being perceived by the cognitions, as a defined above, So the middle autonomous schools, as I mentioned, truly exist, not exist means without subject, without the subject, if something exists, then they says that is the analyzing of the ultimate. The color exists without eye consciousness or not. So the Sautrantic middle way thinks this is objective analyzing. Color exists, color exists apart from the eye sense power, or color exists outside of the sense power. They think this is not objective analyzing. Right? So color exists independent from the eye consciousness or not. That is what they think is this analyzing objectively. So right, yeah. So if you try to find what the color of this book, this is not objective analyzing, right? So the color in the room is orange. So this is not the objective analyzing.
Just conventional, mundane.
Yeah, this is the normal way of saying, has it arrived yet? That plane's landed or not? Is it coming from Singapore or not? That is not objectively analyzing. The Prasangika school says, when you analyze the arising of the sprout, and when you analyze, examine on the future, is there something that is coming by itself or coming from others? So Prasangika school, that is analyzing objectively. And sometimes, yeah, in the ordinary language, people also, without bias, if you analyze, people say it's objective, right? So that is also in the mundane, we use that language. He's very objective. He's not falling in his emotions. He's not driven by his emotions. We just want to know the truth. Who stole that? Who killed that person's objective? So that's the objective is also kind of relatively understood. So, is there anything I should repeat or? So I sometimes say a white dog or black dog, So that is a very conventionally. Then he says, if the white dog is it white? If yes, is it a color? It's not a sentient being. Is sentient being, is there any common logos sentient being in the color? And if there's common logos with the sentient being and the color together, and why not the sentient being in the body is the common logos? Why the sentient being in the attachment has the common logos? Why not there's the sentient being and the hat? Having sentient being in the hand, sentient being in the leg, sentient being in the heart, sentient being in the liver, sentient being in the intestines. So, is there any common logos? If the sentient being and there is a sentient being, and leg has a common logos, and the sentient being and the shoes may have a common logos. So that's the kind of objective analyzing. You're just looking into the suchness.
So if you like men looking for like a woman who's a mother, a wife, a daughter,
Yeah.
that's the same sort of analysis.
Yes, this is I'm saying the relatively exists. You have to just let it, how say it? You just let it be as ordinarily perceived. If you go a little bit beyond the conventional, then you will lose the conventional reality. You cannot find the conventional reality. So when you are for example, when you want to do the deity yogas, meditations, or you want to do the generating the compassion towards sentient beings, real compassions. So you need the conventional realities. If you because your main meditation is to generate compassion towards sentient beings, if you analyze objectively sentient beings, a sentient being disappears, right? So for that reason, for generating compassion, you need the conventional reality of the sentient being, right? When you practice generosity, the patience, all rely upon conventional reality.
That's, you say to know suchness, you need to be closer to conventional. You need to know the conventional.
Yeah, you have to have a conventions. Conventional must exist. That relatively existing has to be real to you. If relatively exists become objectively not existing, and always you're trying to analyze at ultimate level, and you will lose the conventional reality. So without a conventional reality, there's no perfection of generosity and patience and morality and renunciation and compassion. There's nothing.
So it's more so to understand how it actually exists, not to erase it.
Yeah. So now not to erase means it's not giving you options, or today you just hold on the convention, or tomorrow you're emptiness.
Mm-hmm.
So you simply saying, the conventional realities, the way they exist is relatively. If you examine, so when you go a little bit beyond, if you examine, then you are analyzing objectively. You're going, you are heading towards the ultimate level. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So conventional do not stand with any analyze. Ultimate analyze cannot be stand and cannot be go with conventional reality. So even in the daily yogas you practice meditations from the emptiness, the conventionally arising of the deity, conventionally arising of the syllables, conventionally arising of the mandala, right? That's the main object for the meditations. So because all these beautiful mandalas that manifest, right? So deep in your mind, understand they do not exist objectively, but relatively, yes, is beautiful and is a livable house conventionally. So it's easy because in the mundane worlds, something appears to you conventionally that becomes so solid to you, and you fixate, you don't like, you dislike or hate it. So it's almost like you are really you see that objects this very solid existing. So from the Arya's point of view, the sentient being is always punching in space. There's nothing, they just, always raise their hand, punch it. So the sentient being is always, just, using the hand and legs. So like, when someone drunk, they see some kind of people around them to just do that. Arya people see the sentient ordinary people like that. Even they're just alone in their room. They get angry, they talk, and they just, all the gestures, as they are there. Because you have whole people invited in your mind in the form of imaginations. And you are really fighting with those, which means you believe these are really solid, exist.
We need to soften our grasp.
Yeah, to soften the grasp, to weaken in that, and you have to know these are relatively exist. Anything that relatively exists, not ultimately exist.
Mirage like, face in the mirror like.
Yeah. So you can rely on the reflections of your face in the mirror, but you can do things. But if you believe this is me, my face, then that's the wrong perception.
Is it sort of all conventional reality be like you come in contact with something and then something arises like the face in the mirror? Is that?
Yeah, everything that is any kind of phenomena or object or knowable object or anything that recognizable, apprehendable object, something that appears to your mind, that is all created by your mind. Like this can be those recognizable, apprehendable, and something that you is you have labeled, so that the object that appears to the mind is 100% is the creation. But yeah,
We're like little movie makers.
yeah, we all we're the directors without producer. We always direct our own movie. We don't need producer because we have enough wealth to project all the habits, the habituations, the informations.
But the main troublemaker that we project is true existence.
Yeah.
On what appears in our mind. But even external things, we can see them too concretely.
Yeah, even the external like color, sound, smell, taste, textures. So if you analyze them, they don't really. There is no, for example, sound. In the thought process, in your thought, how you really, conceive about the sound. So there is the one way, the one way you conceive the sound. If someone make the sound, that person's who who calls your name, that very sound you think is coming to you. That is also a mistake. His sound, the minute that he makes the sound, it ceases to exist. Now the wave that is kind of vibrating on the elements, and then that makes the sound. That vibrations vibrate another set of the elements. So sounds become weaker and weaker and weaker. So the final sound that touched your ear is also elements within your sense power that produce the sound, right? So there is no one sound, single sound that coming towards you and calling your name, right? So that is again, there's no any single sound traveling, coming towards you, calling your name, like someone just running to call you. And then each sound is just produced from the outer elements. So the sound is calling, I think each sound has no intention or no, purpose of calling your name. But you say, because you think, he deliberately make that call to you, and then that, impact or the vibrate of the elements finally touched your air sense power. Then you interpret that he's calling my name. I just heard your word, or what I heard your voice.
Without our ear faculty and the vibrations, there's no sound perceived.
If the voice, your voice that you just make out of your mouth is traveling, then your voice that out of your mouth, may it travels to India, travels to Europe, right?
That's a power trip.
Yeah, the foreign trip without passport. Yeah, some people think that there's the wave of the oceans, so people still based on the continuity, so the Japan, the wave that people think is coming towards the Los Angeles from the Japan. So similar, that's kind of, so that this is the kind of, relatively it's real, it's true. Relatively it's true. Now, in the objective level, there is no waves that travels from the Japan to Los Angeles.
One single wave.
Yeah.
So it's not one wave from the speaker to the hearer. It's just the vibration of all the elements going individually.
So you haven't heard the voice that has any purpose of calling your name. There is no, right? And from the telephones. But relatively, conceptually, you interpret it. Yeah. So similarly, that's the words and the meanings and the purpose of the voice of a word. And, so there is no objective, there's nothing. And the colors, again, when you see the colors, color is, first there must be some form that can, they can get the heat of the light, object, the form, any physical things that, the sunlight hit on that object. So there's some kind of, form is there, physical form is there. Right? Anything that form has to be outcome of the four element. And this sunlight hits on that. And then, so that reflects on the sense powers, that the reflections, the clear or not, is also depending upon distance, the space. Space makes the possible of, visible of the image. Right? So then the colors. So that created. Now it's objectively there is no such color that pre-exists in sense power or not in the form, not in the light. So it's all together, something creates. That creation has no any essence by itself. And the smell, nose, smell, and taste are all. Because if the taste and smell has some kind of substantial kind of independent quality, then it cannot be changed by the element, by changing the element. Some people say COVID, people when they get COVID, they could not taste the food. So how it's possible? The food is intrinsically exist. The taste of the food must be intrinsic and independently exist. It's independence. It's not relying on, what the element is right now in what condition. So, like the table that you see the shape of the table. When you sit, it's the same shape. When you are well, it's the same shape. If the taste is like independently exist, it doesn't matter you are well or not well. Must have the same taste. Mm-hmm. So if not, it is relying upon it, depending upon it, changed by your elements, which means your elements also involved in creating the taste. Right? That taste is not independent. So Nagarjuna's I think chapter 4, analyzing the form, like we usually call physical form, physicals. Physical form, something formed, then that reflects on the eye consciousness. And then that the form that, something that formed, and therefore it reflects on eye consciousness. The formed in what? Right. And what base something has formed. And then says the four elements. So then the question is, the form that reflects on eye consciousness, has it formed physically in the shape of color or in the color or the shape of the size within the elements? No. Within the elements is there is no any visible kind of visual quality in the element. So if the form is not formed in the element, because within the element there is no such quality of being physically formed, right? So then now the second thought is, element has produced the form, right? Produced the form, then that form is reflects on eye consciousness, which means the form can sustain apart from the elements. That's logically it's not possible. So you just you with So like for example, if you're trying to make some bread, and then use the flours, then put water, make the dough, and then it says, "This what I made." Right? If the form is born from the elements, right? Born from the elements. Elements is kind of like mother, and the form is like their child. So this child could stay without the mother independently, right? So any form is, logically could not really sustain or exist as a form without the element. And without the elements, if not without elements, is it in the element or it is different from the elements? That is also hard to say.
I thought color and form were inseparable.
Color and form,
Just conventionally,
Yeah.
it can be separated.
So this, what I'm saying, the formed means something that visually exists. Yeah. What has visually exist? For the eye, the shape and color is no difference. Whatever the visually exists. Now the question is something visually exists, we tend to think it is concrete, it's solid. So then now there's a in the one way when you analyze, examine that visual formed means it is apart from the element or within the element. Apart from elements is impossible. Within the elements, again, like all elements in the down there and one layer, and the form is another layer. So that is also almost the independent. And then the question is, and then second thing is, you think is visual form that exists is independent because it proven by the existing of the textures, smell, the taste. So you think this my body, by touching it, proving this is solid existing. Now the textures, if the textures, right? Textures of the physical form is created by your physical sense power. So if the texture is independent from physical body, physical sense, body sense power, then you can say, yes, this what makes this form. This is independent form. So there is no proof of the textures could exist independent from the physical sense power. There is no smell that exists independent from the no sense powers. How can there be consists of the four substance that has smell, taste, textures, the color, the shape, and all together something out there independent? But this is, in the human consciousness, in the human perspective, yes, we all see that. We all believe that. It's a house. Just by touching it, it's a big, solid house. So if you go, sometimes, the physics they use in the very quantum level, and they don't really see that something can't really, concretely formed or anything that is solid exist. So I think our conclusions of something that could really exist physically, that has the visual quality, that has the smell, that is the taste, and there's the textures, as something that is formed physically, strongly, independently, can really exist. I think when you ask to ourselves, we says, I can touch, I can smell, I can see. That is the reason. So when we go back to analyzing, examining each sensory experience, again, it just relatively exists. Heavy, light, hunger, thirst, cold, heat, right? Rough, soft. So you cannot really, any that's really evidently prove that the rough, soft, hunger, thirst, heavy, weight, something could exist apart from your sense power.
until you come in contact, it doesn't exist. I mean, until you pick something up.
In the context, yeah, in the context, we are saying there is smell, there's the taste, there's the textures. Therefore, this form exists by itself. From the context, we say that, without reason, we don't say the kind of physical form is something exists independent. It's out there because I feel it, I smell it, I saw it. Right? It is heavy, it is light, it is soft, it is rough. These are the proof.
It sounds like that deals with it, meaning more cognition and perception and proving that yes, it is.
Yes, there.
But not objective.
Every reason, reason that you're proving something that is out there, the textures is the creations. It's just happening to be existing in between inner element and outer element. So, yeah, sometimes you see like almost like you're looking at your shadow. They say, "Oh, that's too big, very big." Something is too small. So it's something out there. Some small kid, they're afraid, they're scared of their shadow, right? They run away from shadow. Maybe there's some kind of sense of we have this kind of this out there because there's evidently proving that something outer elements is there, external phenomena is there. But if you go analyze it logically, one by one, mathematically proving, and you cannot prove that. That's very strange. Yeah, that's the mysteries of the reality. Is sometimes you cannot deny it's very so obvious to you, and then if you try to find how, so then almost there is very very few kind of reason to prove that existence. So if each sensual experience is independent exist, the first we have to prove is color independent. If the color is independent, independently exist. So I think either you have to say color is the what do you call it? Magnetic. There's some kind of energy flows, from the many particles. So the particles just, every particles when they join, the water elements joined, and then that grows by the fire elements. So the energy, the flowing, back and forth. So either this has to be said, this is the color, or if this is the color, then the color is also exists in your eye sense power, like a sunglass. When you're wearing yellow sunglasses, the black sunglasses, so the color is there to project. So maybe the things that we see the color is in our retina. So that, then in that case, the color is not out there. And then if the color is existing in the retina, which means, the sense power is just an outcome of the element in your body, water. It's the water elements. And then water elements and the heat and the wind all together, it's a very, very thin, very, very fine form. So I think that's, very, but fine, right? Fine form. It's a very, almost visually you cannot see that. The sense power cannot seen by any eye consciousness. If the color is there, so for what? Yeah. Any questions? Is Larry's doing well?
I don't know.
That is a good answer.
He just kind of feel extremely tired, and he says he feels chill. He has cold, and his hands were really cold. So I just say, why don't you go to lie down? So
he can just lie down there and listen.
And listen, that's true. But the problem is lie down or sleeping.
Sleeping is okay. Like our baby comes to class. Sometimes she snores. Okay. Yeah. Chanju Semjo Rinpoche, Majebana Jejuji, Jebanyamba, Mevanya, Kono Pevashi. Tonya Dawa Rinpoche, Majebana Jejuji, Jebanyamba, Mevanya, Kono Pevashi. Oma Semja Tamji, Dada Dejuji. Nyenro Tamji Dado Tonwa, the Chanju Semba, Kanda Suju. Dada Gunja, Monam Juji Ruchi, Karera Boko Vishima. Pendan de Wama Lunjo, and Cheresa, Tinja, Shabeside Badu Tinjuruchi.
May the precious Bodhi mind
May the
not yet born
rise and grow, may the bonded not decline and cool.
May the precious
May
mind
the body mind realize the emptiness, not yet born to rise and grow. May the bonded not decline but grace forever. Other blessings in the Buddhism.
And this is my answer.
Let's be the fulfillment one that has someone who also the happiness, the power of something that's all remain with all and face into our hands.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.